world, and maybe not such a utopian world because that kind of sucks to be all locked up, it might have worked, right? So that didn't happen, obviously, because to get everyone to comply and, you know, close a healthy economy, especially if you don't have the coronavirus in your state, it's kind of going to be horrible. So that would have been also disastrous in other ways. So that didn't happen. So then we closed for a very long time. They did that CARES Act. People got some money. Some, you know, the PPP loans. Some people did get them. Some people didn't get them. It didn't help. It helped some businesses and it didn't really do much for other businesses, and some people didn't get them. So that was a big issue. So slowly but surely, now New York real estate, as you know, is outrageously expensive. So we have people paying $2,000 to $3,000 a month rent for, I don't know, a one bedroom maybe, a studio. I mean, that's on the low end in New York City. Mm. So if you even made like, you know, a certain amount of money, like you made like a healthy amount of money, maybe $80,000, in a few months that money's gone. You know, like a young person that doesn't really have that much of a savings, that money's kind of gone. Or for a person that's older, now they're going into their retirement funds. Now, at this point, some people don't have any money, and their unemployment didn't really help them that much either if they were making, you know, $200,000, $300,000 a year. So they left New York. They're like, I'm not paying this rent. I'm going to go down to Florida and pay, you know, $1,500 instead of $4,000. So it's become a disaster where people have left the city. Plus, people are opening the city, they're closing the city in terms of the stores, and they're making these draconian, haphazard laws and closings that aren't working. So now people are eating in bubbles outside in the freezing cold.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to make much sense, that bubble stuff, because that doesn't make much sense to me at all. It would seem if you were in the fresh air, there'd be less chance. Now, what about, is there right now a moratorium on evictions over there in New York City?
Well, it ends, you know, I think Cuomo is extending it, but it ends anyway. If they pass that new release bill, I think they're going to extend it here, and that's on the state level. But there is a moratorium on evictions, but people are, you know, upstate are getting, I know they are getting like letters, they shouldn't be, but people are scared. They don't know. I mean, even if they do, you know, it takes a long time to evict people in New York. You know, that luckily not going to be able to get people out. And, you know, the landlords need, the smaller landlords need, you know, money for lawyers. And the courts are going to be backed up. So people probably have a little bit more time, but not much, you know, and no one wants to be evicted. Let's put it that way. You don't want that on your record. You don't want that on, you know, in your life. You know, because I had a family member that was almost evicted, but not for not paying rent. The landlord just wanted them out because it was a private house. So he tried to evict my older family member, which was really upsetting, and he lost. So, but he was, you know, it was very stressful. So that's very stressful for people, on top of being winter and on top of being the coronavirus. And now we're on the second wave here in New York, and they closed all the restaurants, and it's been a disaster. You know, you can't, it's just like people are just leaving. There's empty storefronts, blocks of empty storefronts in one vital.
It's heartbreaking down here because I just moved down here like a year ago, and you see signs everywhere. Goodbye after 30 years in business. One store after another shut down and closed up. It's just, and down here we're open. You know, there's no, it's a Wild West down here. You know, there's no mask. Do whatever you want. They don't. The governor allows evictions. You know, the state allows evictions. Many people were smart enough to get that CDC declaration to put a stay on evictions until January 1st. But even now that's run out, and we can't get Trump to sign the extension. So, but my question is, right now, what would Stacey Prussman's solution be for evictions in New York City?
Well, I definitely put a moratorium on them at this point. I mean, I would not, you know, I don't want to lose any more people in my city, first of all, because those are going to be taxpayers, you know. Eventually, they're going to be able to pay taxes even if they can't pay their rent. So I'll be losing taxpayers, I'll be losing citizens, and I want to protect my citizens. So we need to figure out a plan. Well, one of my plans would be to, you know, create more affordable housing with all these office buildings that are now null and void. People are working from home. People that are working from home, and that trend did start prior to this coronavirus, like with the WeWork movement, and people going to Starbucks during the day to do work all day. And I saw in cafes became a big popular thing with people working from their homes, meaning out of the office. So hopefully they could take these zoning laws off and let's allow housing to be built in these offices in Midtown and these, maybe even down in, I guess, on Wall Street area where there's a lot of offices. I think they did do that a little bit after 9/11, but maybe create more homes and maybe even making homes where there's offices in like downstairs where you could, as you're part of your rent, you can have a little home office. There's like a lot of ideas I have about that, like how you take, to restructure these buildings such. I mean, it wouldn't be easy because of the plumbing situation, but each building is different.
Yeah, because they would need kitchens and showers. But can the mayor even do that? Don't you need the city council to change those zoning laws? Would you have the kind of political clout going in as a libertarian to make those kind of changes when New York City is run by landlords?
Well, I want to work with the landlords. I want to work with the landlords and the tenants. If you work on both sides, that's how you solve problems. The reason why I chose to be libertarian is because we're in this duplicitous political system, right? Like it's Republicans against Dems, it's landlords against tenants. It can't be like that. It needs to be where each side compromises so we can create a solution. Like I'm a solution-based candidate. I don't want to play any politics. I mean, I know I have to. Obviously, it's going to have to happen in some ways. But generally speaking, honestly, that is really something that I don't want to I want to play solutions. If this is going to be the best solution for both parties, what is that? I want to think of myself as like a mediator of the city, like creating a new way of doing business, a new way of working together, because the old way has not been working.
Yeah, that reminds me.
Money gets wasted.
Yeah, normally before the show, I ask the guests if they have any upcoming appearances or events that they want to promote, and I forgot to ask you that. Do you have anything coming up where you're going to be able to meet the people and have gatherings and get off the vote?
It's funny you said that because we haven't done that. We haven't planned anything outdoors yet. I'm speaking at a convention on the 6th in Queens, the Libertarian Convention, but in terms of, live, things right now, there's nowhere to do them unless we do them outside. And so we're going to be having some Zoom events that'll be listed on my website, PrussmanForMayor.com, so you can come to those. And even if you're not in New York and you have family in New York and you want to see a better city, you can donate to my campaign and things like that and volunteer. There's a lot of things you can do virtually that would help. So a lot of stuff is going to be virtual for a while until the weather gets better, obviously. And I don't know if people want to be out in freezing cold, or if we find a place we can be inside, we're going to do that.
Oh, it's like 78 down here. You should come down here.
Yeah.
Have your headquarters down here.
I should come down just to recruit the New Yorkers to come back up.
That's so true. We were driving around Christmas week. You see license plates from all over the world down here in this tiny little town. Now, I did notice on your website you have some concrete solutions about restaurants and bars utilizing the same system of grades that they use for cleanliness and what's it called? Health codes.
Yes, exactly. So, I came up with this idea with my team. We want to keep, instead of this punitive, like, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, now you have to pay a fine. I mean, that's not going to help anybody. It's going to close them down. They're going to leave the city and then say, go fuck yourself. Oh, sorry.
Can't do that yet. All right, we're going to bleep that out. Don't worry. Go ahead.
Okay. They're going to say, go, screw yourself and get out of the city, and just say, I don't want to be here anymore. It's too much stress. We've already been suffering. I mean, their businesses are suffering in ways that people, there were restaurants, as you said, that were here for 80 years, that, classic places. And then the New Yorker said, had a whole, a beautiful, sad article with the pictures of goodbye to, and hundreds of restaurants are on there. Places I used to go to, places that I have memory. I actually started crying reading the article. I mean, we don't want people to leave anymore. So, we have to reopen. I mean, if people follow protocols correctly, people won't catch the coronavirus in the restaurant. If it's if people are following the rules.
Well, let me ask you this, Stacey. Are they following the rules over there? Are people social distancing? Are they wearing their mask? Are they using the hand sanitizer?
I believe in, yes. I mean, every time I go to a restaurant, first of all, that's why I wanted to use my 1 to 5 system, as you read. So if you're following, you get a 5, right? If you're following the system, you get a 5 or a 4. If you're going above and beyond, like if you're doing everything plus and even more, you get a 5 or a 4. If you are like kind of like just following the basic stuff, you get like a 3. But you can always go to a 4 or 5 if you add, if you do a little bit more. And they are following it. The places that are open are doing a really good job. They take your temperature, they contact trace, their wait staff is wearing masks really, really well. Put very strong masks that cover their face correctly. They're social distancing the tables. This is when they were open inside, and the food, everything seems in the air. They have an air purifier. People are really following. They were following the rules until they closed again, and they had outdoor and indoor seating a lot of places when they could. Yeah, I mean they weren't. I mean, very few places I walked into weren't doing their job. I was really, really happy about that, because they were, there's one place I went to in Sheepshead Bay throughout the summer, and they were amazing with that. They had a lot of tables that were far away, and you felt safe. You didn't feel like you were on top of people.
Stacey, what about the comedy clubs? Are they open? What's going on with them?
No. Maybe one. The Stand was open. They had a very big restaurant. They were serving food, and they were doing some shows outside for a while until I think they outlawed that. But I think they did that for a while, and they were great. And they actually expanded. They were really into their food, and obviously comedy. They couldn't have more than a certain amount of people, but not really. No, they're closed. Most of the comedy clubs are closed unless they have a very strong restaurant presence.
And then that's an odd rule that you have to be. If you're serving food, it's okay, but if you're just serving booze and laughing, it's not good.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I get having to sit down, and I get that you need to not be walking around with it. I get that whole scene, but I don't know. See, those are the rules that don't make any sense.
And what's the food have to do with it?
I know. I think that the fear is, and this is what I've heard from people, that if you don't have food, you're not sitting down, you can walk around, but it doesn't even make sense. They just should make a law that you should be seated, 6 feet away from the other people, and just for safety. I don't understand. I don't know if we have any. There maybe because people get drunk and they act stupid, and that could be a reason. I don't know.
Well, Stacey, really down here in Florida, the strip clubs are open. Okay. Yeah. There's no national leadership. There's just no common sense. And you talked about those filters. Those air filters, they should be mandatory in every place, every store, every restaurant.
I think the one thing that I learned throughout this whole pandemic was about how dirty things actually are.
That's true, too. Yeah.
Prior, how things actually aren't clean to begin with, the air and how they don't clean the air filters in restaurants. And,
right.
I mean, only there for an hour or so I guess it doesn't affect you as much, or how maybe the food cleanliness wasn't always so great. Because I've eaten in restaurants over at sea, there's one sushi restaurant I used to go to that was my favorite restaurant, because they had 3 sushi rolls for $9 in Queens. This is like 6 years ago, and I would go. I was across the street from it, so every couple of days I would get sushi from there. And then one day, the health department came and gave them a C. And I was like, oh, great. I've been eating C-rated sushi for like years now.
Yeah, but Stacey, you wouldn't know this as a woman, but even some of these A-rated places like Target, you walk into the men's room, there's urine all over the floor, man. It's just, and even now with the pandemic, we walk into a restaurant and there's urine all over the floor. It's just the most disgusting thing you've ever seen in your life. We're going to take a look. On that note of urine all over the floor,
urine all over the floor.
We're going to take a
Target. They get away with stuff too, like the big box stores getting away with, not following the rules, and the small people are getting closed down. That's the other issue. Speaking of Target, and that's another issue that I want to deal with.
We got to take a commercial break, but we are here with Stacey Prussman. Prussman, running for mayor of New York City on the Libertarian Party ticket. You can find our website as Prussman For Mayor. And a lot of times when these mayors, they